Hi everybody, hope you're all doing well. Firstly, an apology for not uploading any videos for quite a while. Since I had my little accident with the Vectra back in April 2023, it's really put me off doing much in the way of car work. I've done a few little jobs on one or two of the cars just to keep them on the road, but that's about it. If you haven't seen that video, I'll link it in the description below and also put a link up in the top right hand corner of the screen now. Also, just a quick one, I've noticed that only 4% or less than 4% of people that watch my videos are actually subscribed. So to those 4%, I thank you. Your support is much appreciated. To the remaining 96%, please consider just clicking the subscribe button and the notification bell, because I'd hate to think you would miss out on anything that you might find entertaining or interesting. It doesn't cost you anything and it will help my channel immensely. So that being said, let's get on with today's video. Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to be getting on with some serious work on the GSI, giving it a good service and changing the cam belt. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do today is attempt to change the cam belt. This is the 2.5 V6 X25XE engine fitted to the Vectra GSI. Just noticed a lot of my nice little blue bits are getting a bit brittle there, breaking away, so might have to replace them. Anyway, that's a job for later on. So the cam belt is underneath this cover. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of stuff we need to remove to get to that cover. Looks like there's a bit of a wiring harness, in a bit of conduit stuff there going on that we need to remove. Maybe disconnect these sensors. It's like one of the O2 sensors down there needs to come out as well. Airbox needs to come out. We'll probably need to remove this torsion bar, or whatever they call it here, one of the engine mount bars, because this block that it's bolted to here is actually bolted through the cover. This is the other side of the cover. Obviously we've got two sets of pulleys there for the exhaust and inlet cam on that side, and two on there for the exhaust and inlet cam on that side. Also going to need to drain the coolant, because I'm going to change the water pump while I'm at it. Now the water pump on these isn't actually driven by the cam belt. I think that's the water pump pulley we can see just down, if we can get to it, just down there. That's the water pump pulley. But to change the water pump you have to strip all this out anyway. So for the sake of an extra £35, I've decided to change it while I'm at it. Now the thing with this car is, I think the recommended cam belt interval to change it is something around about 40,000 miles or 4 years. I think it used to be 60,000 miles and 4 years, but it was reduced by Vauxhall some time ago. Now the car, since I had the cam belt done in a garage, I think it's done about 24,000 miles, something like that, which is fine, but I've realised it's actually 13 years ago that I had the cam belt changed, so I think it's due for a change now. So yeah, let's crack on. I'm going to remove this airbox first. So there's a couple of Jubilee clips here. I'm going to get all this out of the way. A couple of electrical connectors there and there, and then get the lid off, and then I think there's some bolts right underneath here somewhere, one there and one there, oops, down there somewhere, that need to come out, and then we can lift this whole airbox out and see how we go from there. So for those of you who are regular viewers of the channel, you would have noticed I've actually managed to tidy my garage up quite a bit. I thought while I'm doing a big job like this I need a little bit more space. I have got a brand new shed coming at the end of August, which means I'm going to get everything out of this garage that isn't to do with cars, to give me a lot more space. So a lot of that stuff up that end will go, but as you can see we've got some clean floor space. We've actually got clean workbenches with new parts up there that we're fitting to the car today, and This little bench over here is clear at the minute, so what I'm going to do is bits that I take off the car I'm going to lay on here. So this is a little solenoid valve, not quite sure what it's for, but it's mounted to the back of the air filter. Just show you that here. So that slots onto there, and that's a little bypass valve or something, little vacuum release valve or something. So I've taken the pipes off. There's one there poked up there out of the way, the other one's actually dropped down there. So there's two pipes, and I've disconnected the electrical connectors there. So the one from the, or the two from the air intake. So this is the mass airflow sensor. I think that's the temperature, intake air temperature sensor. Not 100% certain, but yeah, that's off. So next thing to do is get these Jubilee clips off, and get this airbox, the top of the airbox off, and then we can see what we're doing with getting the bottom out of the way. One of those. So I bought half this stuff last year to service the car, never got around to doing it, and the other half this year. So fingers crossed we've got a new one. If not, let's get one of those on order. So if I show you now in the engine bay, there's sort of a bit of a bonus, but it's not a brilliant bonus. So one of those bolts I was talking about, you can just see it down there, maybe in between the air conditioning pipes, and the other one I can't even see, but it appears that the rubber mountings that the bolts go through are broken, and this airbox is actually loose. So we've just got to detach it from the air intake pipe, which is here. Get my fat hands out of the way. Lost it now, down there, look. You can see it better when I take my hand out of the way. Just got to detach it from that, and we should be able to lift the airbox straight out. So let's have a go at that. This car no longer has air conditioning, and I'm wondering whether I can get that pipe off and lift these up out of the way, just to give us a little bit more access in there. I might spend 5 or 10 minutes having a go. I'm not going to spend ages trying to get them off. Yeah, I can't really see where they come off. Oh, they run all along the back of the engine, but they're flexible from here. So if I can get them disconnected there, flexible bits there, get them disconnected here, I can pull these back maybe to here out of the way, give us a little bit more access. So I'm going to have a quick go at that now. Obviously, if you've got air conditioning in your car and it's full of gas, you need to take it to a garage and get the gas removed, because it's dangerous to the environment, and I think it's illegal as well to let it go. Well, it is illegal to let it go into the atmosphere, but I know this is empty because there isn't actually an air conditioning radiator on this car, an air condenser. Had the radiator leak a few years ago, and it punched a hole through the aircon rad, and at the time I couldn't afford to get one, so I just haven't bothered with air conditioning, which has proved to be a real pain in the hot weather. But yeah, we'll get around that. So this is one thing I haven't seen in the manuals. Trouble is, there isn't a manual for this V6 Vectra engine. So I've been looking at manuals for the Amiga, because this was used in the Vauxhall Amiga, I think a few Holden models, a few Cadillac models, a lot of GM platform vehicles use this engine. So you can see a little bit better now what we need to do. So we need to get this, it doesn't refer to this cable conduit thing here, but looking at it, I think we'll disconnect those just to be on the safe side, and that one, rather than bend them around. There's a couple of pipes there, which I think are water coolant pipes for the throttle body, if I remember rightly. But those two pipes we could probably just ping up out the way, and then I'm thinking we can get this whole conduit trunking off, and perhaps lift this whole bit from here up out there, over there, out of the way. So I'm going to have a go at that. First of all, these aircon pipes, as I say, I'm not spending an eternity trying to get those off, but we'll see how well we get on with that. And if I can get them off and get them out of the way, then great. We'll crack on. So I'll cut back in a while when I've done that. Right, so I've been struggling with that for about 15-20 minutes now. As you can see, I've got that top bolt out. I was hoping that was just going to split. There doesn't seem to be any movement in it, and it's bending on that bracket down there, and there's another E10 Torx bit holding it to the bracket. Despite popping the top radiator hose off and pulling the dipstick out and various other bits, taking the radiator cover off. I cannot get on there easily. I think you probably need to take the bumper off to get that off, get to it easily. So I'm just not going to faff about. I think I'm going to have enough room here to do what I need to do. These will pull out. The reason I didn't have any, another reason I didn't have any aircon on here for a while, I've just remembered, not only did it punch the a hole through the condenser when the water radiator went and it squirted a jet of water out, but also one of these pipes here somewhere sprung a leak. I can remember it hissing. I can't remember if it was on the rubber bit or on the metal bit, but yeah, it lost all its aircon gas before the radiator went, so that's the reason. But yeah, so I'm not too worried about pulling these about. We can get those strapped out of the way. So what I've just done, I've just given the water pump bolts and the power steering pump bolts a bit of a squirt with WD-40. Gonna let them soak. Down the bottom there, right down there, is the crank pulley, which we need to get off at some point as well. So I can't reach the bolts there really to get the get some WD-40 on them. So the next thing I'm going to do is just pop this up on a jack and an axle stand, and get the wheel off. And then I think underneath there is an inspection plate in the plastic wheel arch liner that we can take off, and we can actually get to the crankshaft there, so we can turn the engine over. And set the timing and stuff. Actually, having said that, I might just have a go at this while we're at the top here. Just get these electrical bits and pieces off, and possibly this. I've also put some WD-40 on there, so I'm planning on taking this this torque bar, anti-roll bar, whatever it is, for the engine off there, off at that bolt, and then I think there's just three. Yeah, there's 3 bolts there. 1, 2, 3 that mount it through this engine cover and just remove the whole thing. So I think I'm going to have a go at that first. So we'll do this, remove this, and remove this wiring loom, and I'll cut back in when I've done it. So I've got the wiring loom off. That was literally 2 bolts that were there and there, and that just lifted up. I did all the connectors like I said, so there's 3 on top there. There was the throttle position sensor, which I think is that one, and that sensor there, which I think is that one. Yeah, it definitely is. Not 100% sure what that one's for, but yeah, that's enabled me to lift this up out of the way. As you can see, it's not under too much stress. Also got the engine mount off, so that sits in there. Won't bother putting it right back in properly, but you saw where that was before. So yeah, there are just the 3 16mm bolts there, which I've got here. 1, 2, and a slightly shorter one, 3, and then that was a 16mm bolt up there as well. That was a bit tricky to get to, that one, but I just used a ring spanner, 16mm ring spanner on that one, and I just used a 16mm ratchet on those. So I think you can see them. Can't see where the up one is. Oh yeah, that one's the other side of the belt. I don't know if you can see that. Under there, the other 2 are up there. So yeah, that's that all out of the way. So like I said, need to get this wheel off, and we can get access to the pulley. So what I'm doing, just out of interest, is I'm gonna, while all these belts and everything are still on, I'm just gonna crack all these nuts and bolts off. There's a couple of ordinary 10mm there or something, looks like. There's a couple of probably E10 star drive bits there, and whatever's on the crank. Just get them loosened off while the belts are all still on, because obviously when you take the belts off, they'll just be free spinning and it'll be a pain to hold them to get the bolts loosened off. So I'm going to crack on with that now, and next time we cut in, we should be able to look at the end of the crank pulley and start seeing the timing marks on there and getting that pulley off. Right, so that's the wheel off. And if you look in here, if we take out that, another one there, it's just a plastic push fitting. I think there's a couple just under the front here. We can take this whole panel out and that will give us access to the crankshaft. So let's have a go at that. Yeah, so there's a couple more bolts hold this panel on under here. There's one under there, There's one right at the back there which appears to be missing, and then there's another one just there. And I think they're T25s, it says on there. That's such a tiny little bit. I'm sure it says T25 somewhere on there. Can't even see there. If you guys can see that. Don't know if that's focusing or not because I'm lying under the car. But yeah, so there's 3 more bolts there to get out. One's come out really easy. Well, they're little screws actually. Even though it's very rusty, it's come out very easily. We've just got to do this one up here now. That one there. And we should be able to get that panel off. Right, so as if by magic, that's the little cover off under there. Now, hopefully, we have access to the end of the crankshaft. So, what is there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Probably T10s again to get undone. I'm going to give those a quick squirt of WD-40, have a cup of coffee, and then come back and see if I can get those loose. Right, so they came undone really easy. They're all loose. Put my WD-40 on, had a quick coffee break, and I've just cracked them all off. So that's all done. So in here, next thing to do now, I'm just checking, just thinking, where are we? Trying to see everything. So got those all cracked off, those bolts there. All the ones on the power steering pump are cracked off. I think that's the power steering pump up there, or is that the aircon pump? Might be the aircon pump, to be fair. I think the power steering one's at the bottom. I've just noticed something that might be a pain. I want to change the auxiliary belt, and the auxiliary belt goes round that engine mount. So that might have to come off, which means we're going to have to support the engine. Blah de blah de blah. Yeah, that'll be fun. But anyway, we'll worry about that when we get to it, because that's not going to be till we put it all back together. So the auxiliary belt, which is the one we can see, has got to come off now. And the way we do that is there's a tensioner there, and you put a socket on that pulley, and I think you pull it towards you. I'll have a look when we do it. So you put a socket on there, pull it towards you, and you can just slide the belt off. I think you slide it off the water pump there, because that's not actually got any grooves in it. As you can see, it's the flat side of the belt runs around the water pump pulley. So you should just be able to slide it off there, and take the belt off. And like I say, it goes around the engine mount. I didn't realise that. It is a new-ish belt, I think. There's nothing wrong with it. I might actually leave that on and not change that, but we'll see. That's for a later time. We need to get this get it released from all the pulleys, and then get this cam belt cover off, timing belt cover off. So let's crack on with that and see how we get on. Just thought I'd cut in there and just show you that that's a 15mm socket, or 15mm bolt on there. I've got a fairly longish extension bar, and you can see if I now push down on it, you can see the tensioner moving, and that's releasing the tension on the belt. You see the belt moving there. So hopefully I can do that and pop that off the water pump pulley, but I'm going to need 2 hands to do that, so I'll have to put you down for a minute and do that. Right, as you can see, aircon pump pulley off, water pump pulley off, and I did take the tensioner pulley off as well. I have got a new tensioner, I might replace that even if I don't replace the belt, but we'll see. But I thought that gives a bit more room. So now I think we've got 4 bolts and we can get this cam cover off. One there, one there, one there, and one down, if you can see him. Where is it? Just there. So we'll get those out. I've put the bolts back in the water pump and the aircon pump, just so I know where they are. Obviously the water pump ones need transferring over to the new pump. Got the pulleys, both pulleys are off there. We'll give them a good clean up before we put them back. Tensioner pulleys there. So yeah, I'll get those Torx bits out, or whatever they are, and see if we can get this cover off. Right, so that's timing belt cover off. Did notice it looks like there's another bolt hole there to hold it on, but it hasn't had one in it for quite a while, because if you can see, it's really dirty and these are really clean where the bolts have been. So that one's obviously been missed off at some point. It's got a little bit of a crack in it there. I'll have to try and glue that up. Oh, I didn't do that. I think it's been like it a while. Bit grubby on the inside, but we'll give that a clean. So I'll just show you in here. Now, I had bought a pot of white paint to put on the timing marks, but it looks like the ones that timing marks are here, there, can't even see, can't even point. There we go, there, another one up behind there, another one down there, and then the pulleys have also got the white marks on. Obviously we haven't got it timed up just yet. They've all got the white marks on, and they've even marked the positions of the tensioners, because there's a procedure for setting these. So I had bought a pot of white paint to mark all that up, but it looks like it's all marked up. Cam belt doesn't look too bad, but it's a good job with changing it, I think. So the next thing is to try and get this timed up. I'm going to do the water pump last, and you'll see why in a minute. Well, I'm going to do it after I've got the engine timed up, but before I put the new cam belt on, because I don't want to take this out and drop water all over the new cam belt and stuff. Keep calling it cam belt. Some people call it cam belt, some people call it timing belt. Both work, I think. So yeah, I don't want to drop water all over the new one when we've got it all clean. Then we'll get it all cleaned down after we've got the pump changed. But there's a flat on this pump somewhere, I believe. Oh yes, on there. Might have to take those bolts out actually. There's a flat on there, and the crankshaft locking tool locks on that flat. So we need the water pump in place. So yeah, let's get it timed up. Okay, so that's everything timed up properly. What you need to do is set the engine at top dead centre. I'll explain that in a minute, but as you can see, both sprockets there line up with the two timing marks on the cover. Let's see if I can do it one-handed. So you've got mark there lined up with that one's lined up with that one. It's on the front cylinder bank, and on the rear cylinder bank we can see the same there, little notch there that's been marked, lined up with that one lined up with that one. And if we go under here, I've just had to have a bit of a clean up under here, because I think the crankshaft oil seal's got a little bit of a leak, because it was pretty gunged up in here. But I've cleaned that, and you can see there's a timing mark on there and a timing mark in the rear cover, and they're lined up spot on as well. So the top mark is the one you want lined up. The two little ones either side are relevant in a little while when we put the belt back on. So yeah, that's all timed up. I'm happy with where that is. All looks good. The guys at the garage that did it last time obviously did it right. I have seen online, excuse me, the sun's a little bit right now, let me stand up and block it, where these marks are a little bit out, maybe a tooth or so out, and that's due to setting the position of this not tensioner but guide pulley. So you can actually adjust the positions of these with that, but we haven't got to worry about that. Everything's spot on now, and it all looks good. So the next thing to do is to lock everything in place, and I have bought the proper kit. I think it cost me about £45–50. Can't remember the make of it. So what we've got here, we've got a red locking tool which locks the rear or left hand bank of camshafts, pair of camshafts, one for the right hand bank. This is the crankshaft locking tool that I was talking about that clamps onto the water pump. This is a guide that you use for checking the positions when we put the timing belt, new timing belt back on. You'll see how that's used. This is a spanner here for adjusting those tensioners and guide pulleys. This is a little plastic wedge that we will use to wedge the cam belt in place to stop it slipping. And they even give you, I've just noticed, an E20 Torx bit to do your crankshaft, to turn the crankshaft over. I actually used one I'd already got to turn the crankshaft to get it in the right position. So just one thing I need to mention, it is possible, get back under the car, so it is possible to get the engine 180 degrees out of sync. So we've got those marks lined up there. It's possible to line those up, but have these marks here. Let me stand up again and block the sun. These marks here actually pointing downwards. So if you get that, you know you're 180 degrees out, and you need to rotate the crankshaft again using the E20 on the crankshaft pulley there, on the crankshaft bolt, and you need to rotate that another complete turn, and then that should bring everything in line. So it's just worth noting that if you find your marks are on there correctly, but these are down here instead of up at the top, then you're 180 degrees out. You need to spin the engine over one more turn. Right, okay, so let's get those locking tools all in place and I'll show you what they're all about. Right, so I've got the two camshafts locked in place. I'll explain that a bit more in detail in a minute. But what I've decided to do is change the water pump first, because like I said before, the the crank locking tool presses against these flats on the water pump drive pulley, or the water pump sprocket. So I don't, like I said, I don't want to put a load of water and wetness all over the new cam belt, timing belt. And obviously once I get this all timed up, I don't really want to remove everything until I've got the new timing belt back on. So I'm going to do the water pump now. I haven't drained anything off other than the little bit of coolant I lost when I took that hose off to try and get that aircon pipe out. Seen people do this before, and it's just best to let it all fall on the floor really. I've got a bowl underneath there with a hope of catching some of it, so I'm going to do that now. It's just three, there's one there, and there's another one right underneath there. I've loosened them all off. They're an E12 Torx bit. I'm going to get those off, get the water pump out. Sometimes you just have to give it a little tap with a soft hammer just to free it. There's a little bit of corrosion and stuff down there, but we'll get that off and yeah, see how we go from there. But as I say, I'm doing this now because we need the water pump on to lock the camshaft, which I'll show you, the crankshaft, which I'll show you shortly. And obviously don't want to change this and have to put it all back again and get it all timed up again. So let's just get this done. This is the old cam belt in still, old timing belt. Get this changed, let it dry off a bit, have a bit of a clean up, and then we can crack on and I'll show you how to lock the crankshaft and the fact that we've locked all these cams in place. So our water pump's out. Did have to give it a little bit of persuasion with a soft face mallet. It came out all right. There's the hole. Lost a load of coolant obviously, but we'll be replacing that and topping that up. We just need to make sure this surface, where are we? This surface is all clean before we put it back. Try and drain a bit of that water out. Caught most of it, luckily, in a bowl. So a little bit of dampness down there, but most of it, as you can see, is gone in the bowl. Won't be reusing that, I'll be putting fresh in. So I'm going to let that drip for a little bit, go and have a bit of lunch, and be back out here soon, put the new water pump in. Right, lunch break over, back to work. What I did is I left a bit of tissue paper in there while I went and had something to eat, and that's wicked out all the water out of the engine block. Well, not all of it, but the stuff that was sitting in the bottom there. So we can now go ahead and dry that off and clean this face up, because this is the mating face for the water pump. I'm going to use a Scotch-Brite pad or something just to clean that up, and then we'll get the new water pump fitted. So I think that's a good place to leave this video. It's gone on for about half an hour now, so I'm sure you're fed up with watching. I'll try and get the next one uploaded as soon as I can. We'll see if we can get this cam belt fitted. In the meantime, thank you all for watching. Don't forget, like, share and subscribe down below, and I'll catch you in the next one.